Welcome back to Interview At, where we teach you how to use the Amazon leadership principles to land any job, any company, any role. Doesn't matter what it is, definitely going to make you a better interviewer and a better candidate and stand out amongst the sea of candidates that are starting to show up, especially in this time of the Great Resignation. I think I just might have dated the video, but I guess I'm okay with that. So in looking at my stats, one of the things they tell you about how to grow your YouTube channel is look at the stats, look what kind of videos people are responding to. And it looks like, I don't know if this is a search term hack or what, but one of my most popular videos is my online interview cheat codes. So I understand what they're trying to accomplish. It's just how do I do better in these online interviews? When we're doing more of them, we have more time with cameras instead of in the same room with people. How can I perform better? And you know, it's interesting, as I've done now well over 100, probably close to 150 interviews in the last year. If you want a free interview, you can sign up for a free mock interview at interviewyat.com. As I've done more and more of these interviews, what I've realized is there's a couple of things that people don't really they haven't yet processed that is real as it pertains to these online interviews. And so I'm going to give you 3 things that you might want to be thinking about that, you're probably not thinking about. For the first one, I need to get a prop. So I'm going to cut here and then jump back because this chair is not going to get it done. I had to get my fancy chair. Why? Because, well, I can do it on my little plastic one because it doesn't spin. I have seen this so many times. I don't understand why people are doing this, especially when you're doing an interview. Just, spinning in your chair as if you've completely forgotten that 1, you're interviewing for a job, but 2, that there's somebody watching you. So, be aware that you're in a spinny chair. You might be hitting your desk and shaking the camera. That's one problem, or shaking the computer. And so your laptop is wobbling or your screen is wobbling, which is holding your camera, right? So that's all true. But just this, and I think about when we worked on that product and we had that result that we were trying to get. It's just not a good outcome. Okay, well, now I'm going to move this chair because it's not comfortable. All right, that's better. All right, number 2, not making eye contact. So here's the thing. My camera lens is right here. Not here, not here, not there, not there, not there. You want to make a personal connection when you're doing an interview. So look at the camera. It is so awkward. I'm staring at this piece of glass. I've thought about putting a picture of a person around the lens so it reminds me to look there, but I've gotten better at it over time. But the reality is that, especially if you're on a laptop, but if you've got a desktop computer and you've got like a camera, kind of be aware of where the camera is. Look at the lens. Please look at the lens. If you have a Dell laptop, because I looked at the 13-inch and I really, really, really wanted this laptop where the camera's on the bottom of the screen and it's kind of staring up your nose. There's nothing you can do about it. I get it. Look at the lens. 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 When you look at the lens, you have better personal connection with the person than if you're talking over here and looking at the screen and I'm looking at the video of the person and I see the video of the person, but the camera's over here and I'm not looking at the person anymore. So look at the lens. Number 3, verbal tics, yeahs. Those are all there. There's really not much you can do about them. That's kind of in your standard speech pattern. But here's the things I've noticed. Here's a thing that I've noticed, which people, I think, they think is helping, but you have to figure out different ways to do it, which is something that looks like this, or I guess sounds like this. That's a great question. It's a really good question. It's a great question. It's a really good question. Great question. Good question. Great question. That's the one I hear most. That's a great question. I don't know if the intent there is you're trying to signal to the person that you've heard them and that you're kind of using filler space and you want to communicate to the interviewer that you're just like, I'm a smart person. I think that you've asked me a great question. But as an interviewer, when I hear it 6 times in an hour, 10, 12, 15 times in an hour, because I'm asking a lot of questions in my mock interviews, it doesn't sound good. You need to figure out a different way to make that connection. Because again, this screen, I'll just wave my hand in front of, this screen, it's tough to make a personal connection. And so making the eye contact helps, but when you kind of repeat the same things over and over again, because you're not in that physical proximity of space, you have to figure out a way to make this work where you're looking at the screen and talking to the person and making that connection. But they're going to pick up on, because they're no longer in the same physical space, they're going to pick up on the auditory cues because they're hearing a lot more because they don't have your physical space. They're going to pick up on those audio cues and you just have to be aware of it. So that's it. 3 simple things you might want to think about for improving your video interview, especially as more and more companies are doing online interviews this way through a camera. Even in your Zoom meetings, it kind of helps to think about these things. But this is super, obviously here at Interview At, we're super focused on making sure you show up in your best possible way for your interviews. So if this video was helpful, I'd really appreciate if you go ahead and like the video. It's awesome. Helps the algorithm, tells other people that are making great content. Go ahead and subscribe if you think this is great. But here's why I'd ask you to subscribe. Once you get your dream job, what are you going to do? You're probably going to have to interview people. I actually want to know if there's content I can provide for those people who I've helped, because I've done over 150 interviews in the last year. So, look, people are getting awesome jobs, and that's great. And it's amazing. And I'm so happy for them. But once they get those jobs, they're going to need to start interviewing people, and they want to interview better. So they're starting to reach out to me to say, hey, I have the job I want. I'm super excited, but now I need to interview people. So I need content that's going to help me be a better interviewer. So what can I provide for you? Leave it in the comments. Leave me your questions. I'll be happy to oblige.